So many lies flowing around our country all the time. Really, it's constant. There is a big lie about Joe Biden and an even bigger lie about Donald Trump. The big lie about Joe Biden, people are becoming acquainted with it, that Joe was somehow normal, that Joe's brain was not decaying, that Joe touching women, men, boys, and girls was not inappropriate, but somehow charming. Those were lies. And in furtherance of those lies, they protected Joe. They wouldn't ask him questions that should have been asked. Do you realize at this time, it's been 3 years since that laptop became public, right? Over 3 years. Joe Biden has not received one question about it, not one. In a press conference, in a debate like 2 weeks ago, nobody brings it up. Donald Trump does, I do, but nobody brings it up to the president. He's got a lot of apologizing to do, doesn't he? Blaming it on Russia when it was really a contract job by the CIA. How about these great big checks that were written from his brother to him for $200,000? I mean, at least a question about those checks, right? Or the 40 grand one that his sister-in-law wrote to him? No questions. You know, at that press conference yesterday, the reporters were terrible. One good one decent one, the rest were terrible. They could have asked him about his drug use. Seriously, this has been in the news. People wondered why he was so on at the State of the Union and utterly crashing at the debate. I asked this question a couple of years ago. I mean, if you keep your eyes, the average human blinks like 40 times a minute. Watch how Joe Biden does not blink. We actually set a clock to it.
The D.C. Metropolitan Police, other law enforcement agencies were attacked and assaulted before our very eyes, speared, sprayed, stomped on, brutalized, and lives were lost. And for 3 hours, the defeated former president of the United States watched it all happen as he sat in the comfort of the private dining room next to the Oval Office. While he was doing that, brave law enforcement officers were subject to the medieval hell for 3 hours.
All right, not 40 times. The average person blinks 14 to 17 times per minute. So in those 30, Joe should have blinked 7 to 10 times, and he didn't. Wow, I think you can ask him a question about that. So many things to ask Joe about, in addition to his brain. But somehow the questions that we want answered never get asked. Because the White House literally holds all the cards? How did this start? How did this little tradition get underway?
I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. Reuters, Jeff Mason. Next one, Nancy Cordes, CBS. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times. Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Why are those people just sitting there, waiting to be called on or not get called on? I mean, whatever happened to yelling and screaming and shouting out the questions? Sam Donaldson, Peter Doocy does it these days. Good for him. And he always seems, this is Richard Nixon, 1973 or so, Biden always seems to be ready ahead of time, right? He knows exactly what he's going to say on those silly note cards that he walks around with, right? We have this one, talking points, right? He needs Trump abused power, DOJ, out of control. Now we have to clean it up, right? Wishful thinking, talking points. I don't like the lack of accountability. They say that the press corps is really serious now. Not really. They were kind of tame yesterday. There they are, trying to get their questions in, but they just behave like little children, or not even children, like honor students, right? Just trying to, yes, teacher, whatever you want, teacher. Let's name names here. These are some of the worst non-journalists ever. NBC News, Peter Alexander, propagandist, right? Just putting fiction out day after day after day for the past several years, along with his pal, Kristen Welker. These people were in on it. Collusionists, co-conspirators, Nancy Cordes, CBS, all of them. all of them. Travers is her name, ABC News. Why didn't you tell the truth, Mary Bruce, about Joe Biden? Why are most of the American people just figuring it out now? The history books will not be kind to you. History books, who cares? I mean, right now, you guys failed your profession, and you failed your neighbors and the American people. You did, every single one of you. Now, what's the bigger lie? The bigger lie is that Donald Trump is somehow a monster, a threat to democracy. Oh, my, right? What do they say? Every day they beat this in. They lied about Biden being normal, and they lie about Trump being some sort of existential menace.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Donald Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
Donald Trump tried to end our democracy.
Donald Trump is a monster. He's a narcissist.
Donald Trump is dangerous.
The gravest threat to American democracy right now is Donald Trump.
Wow, that's pretty intense, isn't it? And here's the New York Times with a very scary interactive feature here that they published this week. Can you see that? Donald Trump is not fit to lead. And they just have these big bullet points. Let's see here. What does it say? Put self over country. He loathes the laws we live by in the darkness, right? Donald Trump, unfit to lead. And they actually don't go into any specifics. You know, he's a monster, he doesn't care, he's all about himself. But what's actually the problem? They don't get to that because there is no problem. Yeah, I know. Sometimes he says things, but what he says is actually okay. Like this.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight, you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
for?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not. That's
drill.
That's not.
No, no.
That's not retribution. I got.
I'm gonna be. You know, he keeps. We love this guy. He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, no, no. Other than day one, we're closing the border, and we're drilling, drilling, drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator."
He's talking about executive orders. And Republicans and Democrats alike for years, actually for over 100 years, have complained about executive orders, that they kind of seem rather dictatorial in that the legislative branch does not have to be engaged. Donald Trump signed executive orders. So did Joe Biden. So did Barack Obama. He signed a mess of them. So did let's see here, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush. They all signed these executive orders, and basically they've all been criticized for doing so. 2014, pretty serious academic paper in Chapman University talked about executive orders and dictatorship. And in the paper, it says, although it seems like, this is 2014 again, it seems like a new line of assault on a unique president. In fact, Barack Obama follows in a long line of chief executives, both Republican and Democrat, attacked by opponents for taking individual action. Listen to this one. When President John F. Kennedy's Civil Rights Act, later passed in 1964, arrived on Capitol Hill, James Eastland of Mississippi, the powerful Democratic head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, called it the greatest single grasp for power by the executive department that the nation has ever known. All right? So what he's talking about, what he's doing, has been somewhat controversial for a long time, but Donald Trump is not an existential threat. Look at his presidency. What did he do? He appointed conservative judges. You're allowed to do that. Conservative justices of the Supreme Court. These people, nobody says that they're an existential threat, right? He built the wall. I remember when that was controversial. It's not controversial anymore. You can build a wall. Nobody has a problem with that. DEI. Yeah, people have a problem with DEI. A lot of people, even Democrats, don't like diversity, equity, and inclusion. They talk about getting rid of it. No, that's so racist. No, DEI is junk social science. It's been around for about 20 minutes. It's harming people, and it's totally okay to be suspicious, skeptical or downright contemptuous of this nonsense. So this is not a radical agenda. He meets with world leaders, okay? I know. They try to talk about him as some sort of monster. He's going to break up everything. Think about the 4 years. He's already had the job, and nothing awful happened. Don't say January 6th, okay? I have debunked that thing a million times. We'll get back to that next week. January 6th, you know that's a fraud, right? How about when he brought the hostages home? This is the stuff that we like presidents doing, okay? Now, Joe Biden was with NATO and talking about NATO all the time. NATO, NATO, NATO. Donald Trump wants to, what does he want to do to NATO?
Former President Donald Trump threatening to upend the NATO alliance if he's reelected.
Donald Trump had the desire and spoke of his desire to destroy and withdraw from NATO.
If he gets a second term, he's going to destroy NATO.
As Trump, threatened to abandon NATO.
The Trump administration that, again, spells disaster for the Euro-Atlantic alliance will destroy NATO.
NATO was fine under Donald Trump. He went to all of their meetings. He participated in all of those conferences. He wasn't just Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, there are things that Donald Trump and America wants out of that relationship. It's okay to drive a hard bargain. That's part of being the United States. We lead. We lead. And don't believe the hype. He was very tough on Russia.
He attacks American intelligence and law enforcement and sides with Putin instead, because this is who Donald Trump is, a lapdog for a dictator.
A brand new, desperate ad. No, he's not. I'll prove it in a moment. There's more to international affairs, Joe Biden, than standing and posing for the picture with your fellow globalists and feeling like you're an important person, all right? There's more to it. You got to advocate for the United States. You got to be tough, as Donald Trump was when he sat down with the NATO Secretary General and complained about how nice they were all being to Russia. They had to be tougher on Russia. Check it out.
We look forward to the meeting we're going to have with President Putin, and I think that leaders are also looking forward to your thoughts about the meeting with President Putin later on.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia.
Great point. Great point. Russia didn't want that point made. NATO, there are a lot of scammers in NATO. It's okay. I'm so glad he did it. That is what leadership looks like. The idea that he's some sort of threat to democracy or the world or will bring war, it's the bigger lie, possibly the biggest lie. Now this.
Now, after the debate, after what he's done in Palestine, now there's a problem. And I would not say to you that this is a sure bet, that Trump is not going to get back in the White House. And that is my personal number one job, is to stop Trump, to make sure he doesn't come back to the White House. We are in deep, deep, deep trouble if that happens.
Michael Moore having a nervous breakdown and almost, it's getting dangerously close to encouraging somebody to do something bad to Donald Trump. I noticed that no one seems to have a problem with that kind of rhetoric on the left. You know, Donald Trump makes fun of somebody on Truth Social or Twitter, and everybody has a meltdown. This is dangerously close to encouraging violence against an American citizen, a candidate for presidency, and I am worried about Donald Trump's safety.